Yes, Rich does, I'm still trying to get a smile on my face because we started this once, and I, within the first 8 minutes, was exploding. Mayor Lightfoot of Chicago, better known as Beetlejuice, which is very appropriate. Can't say the name 3 times in a row. She'll appear. Oh boy. You promised the community that you guys weren't going to take down our Christopher Columbus statue, but in the middle of the night, you showed up with a helicopter and a crew and took off with it, didn't you? Ain't you a piece of work? Lady, they're coming for you in election time. You know that, right? Yeah. They're not going to let this one go. And honestly, what you and your city council need to do is just resign. Chicago would be better off without any governance at all. Just turn the police loose, let them do their thing, the fire department, EMT. And you clowns just go away. There is few cities in this country as pathetic as the city of Chicago. You have taxed most of your residents the heck out of the state. Trust me, I know. We got them popping up around Nashville, something fierce. They even have flags they fly outside their houses to show that they're from Chicago. Yeah, you want to know where your tax base went to, you bunch of fools? All over the country. My kid owned land up in Illinois. Sold it, moved to Missouri. Taxes coming out of the state of Illinois. State of Illinois, by the way, for people who haven't ever followed it, there's a lot of information out online, is the most bankrupt organization out there. Okay? They are pathetic. Democrat reign. While a lot of the lower part of the state is definitely conservative, it's rural area. And we got a lot of colleges. Yeah. So we got a lot of brainwashed college kids. I swear I'd be all behind moving the voting age to at least 32 years old. I think it would stop a lot of this nonsense. Once these kids grew up, got out there in the real world and realized something. Hey, these people lied to be in college, man. They really have blown smoke up my tush. Suddenly they would go the other direction. They turned to the dark side. Chicago is a mess, though. I lived up there for a while. I did. And I'm telling you, they had potholes in the streets, and this is way back. They had potholes in their streets that you could lose a car in. Seriously. I actually ripped a tire off a car one time, hitting one of their potholes. Something else. City's a mess. Crime-ridden, demilitarized zone in a lot of areas. Their answer to it is to go in there and tear down all the low-income housing. Not fix it. Oh, God, no, they're not going to do that because, number one, they don't have the money to fix it. So they just tear it down. And they hope they go somewhere else. Which I believe most of the folks living in some of these low-income areas of Chicago would prefer to go somewhere else if they could afford it. But there's a lot of people that you'll find 2 types of people. The one type of person who is stuck in Chicago and can't wait to get the heck out, and the other person loves the town. Folks, let me tell you something. You've had Democratic leadership in that town since the late 30s, and they have put you into bankruptcy. Matter of fact, they'd have to get a big influx of money into that town to just be bankrupt. And the kids being killed in that town. That just breaks your heart. You know, Black Lives Matter says Black Lives Matter, and not to you guys that don't. Or you'd be in Chicago trying to do something about that mess. Take your little black militia up there. But you're not. And you won't. Because you're not about black lives. You are the radical wing of the Democratic Party is all you are. Running around screaming racist this and racist that. I would love to sit you down and have a discussion about racism and slavery. I'm a historian. I'll show you how stupid you really are. Oh, America was so... They were involved in slaves. Yeah, no kidding. So was South America. You seem to love those brown people, don't you? More slaves in North America. What about Africa itself? Yeah. Do some study. Just sit down and read a book on the sub-Saharan slave trade. And you'll realize your ancestors were fortunate if they went to Europe or the Americas or South America. Because the sub-Saharan slave trade, brutal. Absolutely brutal. Your Muslim brothers up north, we had to go to war with. Thomas Jefferson, you know, one of those statues you tore down to stop the slave trade of where they were raiding ships on the open sea, taking a cruise, blacks and whites, and enslaving them into the sub-Saharan slave trade. It was murder on we haven't seen that kind of death since it took us going into World War II to see that. Most of the people did not survive the sub-Saharan slave trade. But you think, oh, Africa, Mother Africa. Africa treated you like mothers, let me tell you. I'm seeing some bright lights over there in Africa. I think finally they're going, okay, let's do something good. You want restitution for slavery? Yeah. Go visit the continent of Africa with your handouts. See how far you get with that. And they were far more responsible for your ancestors being slaves than these statues you're tearing down. Okay? Because actually, by the time these statues got tore down, the men that was doing it, ran those plantations and so forth at that point in time, were one, trying to get out from underneath it, and two, you weren't from Africa. You were descendants of Africans. Most of the slaves back then, especially heading into the Civil War era, they were born here. They were born on this soil. They had never seen Africa. You white college students need to pluck your heads out of your butts. I bet you think you're paying for an education. Actually, what you're paying for is a brainwashing, because they're feeding you what they want to feed you. I talked with a couple of college professors that I knew, and I said, a lot of stuff has even disappeared out of our libraries. Yeah. You think I can Google it. No, you can't. Google gives you what they want to give you. All right? Used to be years back, you do a Google search, it'd tell you how many pages and websites they don't list. And it was in the millions, and that was way back when. You're foolish. Half of you get your news off of Twitter. You haven't been able to verify these people, or what they're saying is even true, because you're too lazy to do the research to find out. Because when you start doing the research, you may suddenly find out they're lying out their butts to you. Let's get back to Chicago. Let's get serious about Black Lives Matter. Mayor Lightfoot, you've had a president of the United States step up and say, I'm willing to come in there with federal law enforcement and help your police officers clean up your streets. You don't want to. So understand, Chicago, she doesn't care if your children get killed. She doesn't care. Okay? Your council people, most of them, don't care. Only thing about those folks is they want to keep their power and their jobs. That's it. First thing you need to do is fire them. If Chicago had and they talk about historic, this would be more historic than Barack Obama getting elected. Turn that city red. Put conservatives in charge of it for a while. Yeah, the transition is going to hurt some. But getting you back into financial prosperity for all your residents is going to be a tough road to hoe. Ain't going to happen overnight. But I figure it like this, Chicago. You've had Democrats in charge there since the 30s. Since the 30s. Just about 100 years. How they doing? Huh? For the average working family, okay? Black, white, doesn't matter. For the average working family, how they doing? Huh? You better off now? Are you? No, you're not, are you? We got to lose. That's the question. What do you got to save? Maybe your children's lives, maybe your own lives. The reputation of living in the most corrupt and dangerous city. Like I said, lived there, been there, done that. I feel for you. Or I truly do. But this nonsense, this total nonsense, there is, I would say, yeah, there's probably some white people out here that are racist and idiots. And that's what other white people think of them. Racist idiots. We want to see you do good, most of us. We want you to have a decent place to live. And we want you to have a good job. And we want your children to be able to live in safety. We're not going to do it for you. We're not going to hand it to you. But we'd like to make the opportunities available to you. Most of you in Chicago, if you're up there listening to this, you understand. You know what East St. Louis is, right? And they too have been for a lot of decades now electing black Democratic leadership for their cities, for their city. How's it working out for them? You drive through that town, it looks like Beirut, man. It looks like a bombed out city. Drive through portions of Chicago, it does too. If not for your business districts, Miracle Mile and so forth, that city would have fallen into the complete total disrepair and mess that East St. Louis, Illinois has. You've had just about 100 years worth of Democratic control of that city. Don't you think it's time to say maybe it's time for a change? Got nothing to lose. It can't get much worse. Look at how many people have died the past few weekends. It can't get much worse. I don't think you could be losing too many more people if they started pulling airstrikes on you. Wake up. You owe nothing to the Democrats. Nothing. Because that is pretty much what they've given you. Nothing. Promises. Promises. Blown smoke up your tushes. Oh, the Republicans are for the rich people. Yeah. For the job creators, yeah. Yeah, they are. Which is good common sense. How many extremely poor people have given you a job? The job creators need to be watched out over. But on top of that, you need to be watched out over. You need to be helped so that you become one of those job creators, okay? Yeah, that's the way it is, folks. We're a capitalist country. You got nothing to lose, Chicago. And that mess you have sitting up there running your city right now, you got a police department that is so demoralized they're about to pack up bag and baggage and walk away. And I wouldn't blame them one bit. Would not blame them one bit. That mayor of yours is just a few bricks shy of a full load. If somebody disagrees with her, instead of having a discussion over it, she gets into a shouting match and name calling, which tells me she's an extremely immature and highly unintelligent woman. What do you got there? I know she lies well, okay? And I'm sure she made you a lot of promises. Chicago, become the great city you once were. Quit losing your residents to other states, and they're running like crazy. Running like crazy. Had one guy down here say it best. He says they ought to put a sign up on the highway. Well, the last person out of Chicago, please turn off the lights. Your money has left. Your big money people have fled the city. There's a few holdouts, but even they are not going to tolerate having bullets chucked through their windows. They'll eventually go okay enough. And you'll end up like in East St. Louis, Illinois. Don't let that happen to you. Lightfoot needs to go. It's kids that are dying down there. Okay? It's your children. Get some law enforcement in there who's going to deal with these thugs. Get them off your streets. Clean it up. It's up to you. Like I said, you've had Democrats running your city since the 30s. How they done for you, Chicago? You looking good? When the rest of the world was prospering, you didn't do too bad. After the 60s, it started slipping over the top and has been on a downhill slide ever since. Maybe you need to wake up. Maybe you need to stop it. And the only people that can do it's you. You're the residents. You're the citizens. You need to be the ones that stand up. And I know you got the guts and the backbone to do it. Show up at City Hall and just tell that mayor, you need to shut up and sit down and let this get fixed. Tell her you're only here for the rest of your term anyway, so just shut up and sit down. Quit screwing stuff up. If you don't start standing up, I can guarantee you, 15 years, 10 years from now, Chicago's going to be a ghost town. Nobody can afford to live there because you're bankrupt. And us out here in the real world, we will not tolerate the federal government stepping in to bail you out. So either start working to fix your own mess, get it cleaned up, accept the help that's being offered to get the crime off your streets to where you can start some real growth economically, and America will back you. If you're looking for, we've bankrupted us to the point that we can no longer pay our bills. We can't keep the lights on. We can't keep the police out there. We can't afford to pay firefighters or EMTs or whatever. And come to the federal government with your hand out. I got to tell you, the rest of the people in this country are going to go up in arms against the federal government. Will not bail Chicago out. Chicago's going to have to bail Chicago out. Don't be sitting around waiting for the check. Because here's something a lot of you don't understand, and I'm going to bring you up to clue, okay? They just don't make, money doesn't grow on a tree in Washington, D.C. Okay? They're printing it. And for every time they print off a dollar, your dollar becomes a little less valuable, buys a little less goods. There was a fellow who said one time, and I'll leave you with this. Used to be in the turn of the century, you could buy a tailored to yourself suit, nice custom suit, for a $20 gold piece. Today you can still buy that. A $20 gold piece was an ounce of gold. What's gold selling for right now? $1,400 So you can still buy that. But those pieces of paper that the Federal Reserve prints off for you, yeah, you're going to need a pile of them that is worth exactly what that $20 gold piece was in the 1900s. Think about that. What's the difference? We got off the gold standard and we got off the silver standard and we became just a printing press. It's fake money, like Monopoly cash. And every time you get handed another pile of Monopoly cash, all the merchants around there says, listen, our stuff is still tangible. We still have to pay the cost of the materials and the labor to put something together. So the government just printed off more money, so we need more money, more of those dollars to equal our cost of goods. Yeah, that's what's happening, folks. Simple economics. Good luck with it up there. Stand up. Because if you don't stand up soon, you're not going to be able to. It's going to be over. You'll just be looking for a place to run. Good luck to you, Chicago. Kick that mayor out of her office. And good luck.